a monster from the deep, introducing Leviathan. The Leviathan is a creature of myth and legend. It is a terrifying beast from the deep. The Leviathan has haunted the imaginations of people for centuries. Its story is told in ancient texts and whispered in hushed tones. The Leviathan is often depicted as a massive sea serpent. It has razor-sharp teeth and impenetrable scales. This monstrous creature is said to be capable of swallowing ships whole. It is a force of nature, uncontrollable and unstoppable. References to the Leviathan appear in various religious and mythological traditions. It is mentioned in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament. The Leviathan also appears in other ancient Near Eastern texts. It is a creature that has captured the imaginations of cultures across time and geography. The enduring fascination with the Leviathan speaks to our primal fear of the unknown. It represents the power of nature and the fragility of humanity. The Leviathan is a reminder that there are forces in the universe far greater than ourselves. Echoes of ancient myths, Lotan, Tiamat, and the origins of Leviathan. These names resonate through the annals of history, each representing a unique yet interconnected piece of the mythological puzzle. They are not just stories, but reflections of the human attempt to understand the world around them, especially the chaotic and the unknown. The image of the Leviathan did not emerge from a vacuum. It is a culmination of various mythological traditions, each contributing to its terrifying and awe-inspiring persona. The Leviathan, a monstrous sea creature, has its roots deeply embedded in the rich soil of ancient Near Eastern mythology. It shares striking similarities with other mythical creatures from ancient Near Eastern mythology. These similarities are not mere coincidences, but rather indicative of a shared cultural and mythological heritage. The Leviathan, Lotan, and Tiamat are all part of a broader narrative that spans across different civilizations and epochs. These connections suggest a shared cultural understanding of chaos and the monstrous. In these ancient stories, chaos is often personified by monstrous beings representing the untamed and unpredictable forces of nature that early civilizations sought to explain and, in their myths, to conquer. One such parallel is the Canaanite deity Lotan. Lotan is a prime example of how these mythological creatures were not just figments of imagination, but were deeply woven into the religious and cultural fabric of the time. Lotan, like Leviathan, was a serpentine sea monster. This serpentine form is a recurring motif in many ancient mythologies, symbolizing the primal and often malevolent forces that lurk beneath the surface of the known world. It was considered the enemy of the storm god Baal. The conflict between Lotan and Baal is emblematic of the eternal struggle between order and chaos, a theme that is central to many mythological traditions. Lotan represented chaos and disorder. This representation is not just a narrative device, but a reflection of the ancient world's view of the sea as a chaotic and dangerous place, full of unknown perils. Baal's triumph over Lotan symbolized the victory of order over chaos. This victory was not just a mythological event, but a symbolic representation of the human desire to impose order on the natural world. Another similar figure is Tiamat, a primordial goddess in Mesopotamian mythology. Tiamat's story is another thread in the intricate tapestry of ancient mythologies that sought to explain the origins of the world and the forces that shaped it. Tiamat was often depicted as a monstrous dragon or sea serpent. This depiction is consistent with the ancient view of the sea as a realm of chaos and danger, inhabited by fearsome creatures. She represented the forces of chaos that existed before creation. Tiamat's role in Mesopotamian mythology underscores the belief in a primordial chaos that had to be overcome to create the ordered world. Marduk, the Babylonian national god, defeated Tiamat. This mythological battle is a powerful narrative of the triumph of order over chaos, a theme that resonates across different cultures and epochs. This victory established order in the universe. The defeat of Tiamat by Marduk is not just a story of conquest. but a foundational myth that explains the establishment of cosmic order. The similarities between Leviathan, Lotan, and Tiamat are significant. These similarities highlight the interconnectedness of ancient mythologies and the shared human experience of grappling with the forces of nature. They suggest that these creatures share a common origin in ancient Near Eastern mythology. This common origin points to a shared cultural and religious heritage that transcends individual civilizations. The Leviathan may be seen as a Hebrew adaptation of these earlier monstrous figures. This adaptation reflects the way ancient cultures borrowed and transformed mythological motifs to fit their own religious and cultural contexts. It inherited their association with chaos, danger, and the primordial deep. The Leviathan, like Lotan and Tiamat, embodies the ancient human struggle to understand and master the chaotic forces of the natural world. The Leviathan features prominently in the Hebrew Bible, most notably in the book of Job. This poetic book grapples with themes of suffering, faith, and the nature of God. The Leviathan plays a crucial role in this exploration. In Job, God describes the Leviathan in vivid detail. He emphasizes the creature's immense size, impenetrable armor, and terrifying power. God asks Job, "Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook or snare his tongue with a line?" The answer is, of course, no. No human can hope to control or subdue such a creature. This passage serves a crucial purpose in the context of Job's struggles. Job has questioned God's justice in the face of his suffering. God's description of the Leviathan reminds Job of the vastness and power of creation. It emphasizes the limitations of human understanding. The Leviathan in Job becomes a symbol of the unknowable and uncontrollable aspects of the universe. It represents the awesome power of God, a power that humans can only marvel at, not comprehend. Section 4, Leviathan in Chains, Shifting Symbolism in Christian Thought. The image of the Leviathan undergoes a transformation in Christian theology. Initially, the Leviathan was seen as a powerful sea monster, a creature of immense strength and chaos, representing the untamed forces of nature. This image was prevalent in early Jewish texts and carried over into Christian thought. While it retains its association with power and chaos, it takes on new layers of meaning. Over time, Christian theologians began to reinterpret the Leviathan, seeing it not just as a symbol of natural chaos, but as a representation of spiritual evil and opposition to God. In the New Testament book of Revelation, the Leviathan is explicitly linked with Satan. This connection is significant because it marks a shift from viewing the Leviathan as merely a chaotic force to seeing it as an embodiment of ultimate evil. John the Divine describes a vision of a monstrous beast rising from the sea. This beast, with its terrifying appearance and destructive power, is a clear reference to the Leviathan, now seen as a servant of Satan. This beast is explicitly identified as the dragon, that old serpent which is the devil, and Satan. The imagery of the dragon and serpent ties back to earlier biblical symbols of evil, reinforcing the Leviathan's new role in Christian eschatology. This shift in symbolism reflects the broader theological framework of Christianity. The Leviathan's transformation from a symbol of natural chaos to one of spiritual evil mirrors the Christian understanding of the cosmic battle between good and evil. The Leviathan, once a symbol of God's awesome power, becomes associated with the forces of evil that oppose God. This change highlights the evolving nature of Christian symbolism and the ways in which ancient myths were adapted to fit new theological contexts. It represents the threat of chaos and destruction that Satan seeks to unleash upon the world. The Leviathan's destructive potential is now seen as part of Satan's plan to undermine God's creation and bring about the end of days. However, the Leviathan's fate is also altered in Christian tradition. While it was once seen as an untamable force, Christian eschatology often depicts its ultimate defeat as part of the final victory over evil. While the book of Job presents the Leviathan as ultimately untamable, Christian thought often depicts its eventual defeat. This defeat is not just a physical conquest, but a spiritual triumph, symbolizing the ultimate victory of good over evil. This defeat is typically associated with the second coming of Christ. In Christian eschatology, Christ's return heralds the final judgment and the establishment of God's kingdom, where all forces of evil, including the Leviathan, are vanquished. The Leviathan is bound or destroyed, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. This powerful imagery serves as a reminder of the ultimate hope and promise of Christianity, that no matter how great the forces of chaos and evil may seem, they will ultimately be overcome by the power of God. Section 5. The Leviathan of the State. Hobbes and the metaphor of power. The Leviathan's powerful imagery extends beyond the realm of religion. Originating from ancient mythologies, the Leviathan has been a symbol of immense power and chaos, often depicted as a monstrous sea creature that rules the oceans with an iron grip. It has been appropriated and reinterpreted in various secular contexts. Artists and thinkers throughout history have used the Leviathan to symbolize different forms of power and control, adapting its image to fit the cultural and political climates of their times. One of the most famous examples is Thomas Hobbes's seminal work of political philosophy, Leviathan. In this groundbreaking text, Hobbes explores the nature of human society and the necessity of a powerful governing body to maintain order. Published in 1651 during a time of great political upheaval in England, Hobbes's Leviathan was a response to the chaos and violence of the English Civil War. The country was in turmoil, and Hobbes sought to provide a solution to the anarchy he witnessed. Hobbes's work argues for the necessity of a strong sovereign power. He believed that only a powerful, centralized authority could prevent society from descending into a state of nature, where life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Hobbes uses the image of the Leviathan to represent this absolute state. The Leviathan, with its overwhelming strength and dominance, serves as a metaphor for the kind of authority Hobbes deemed necessary to maintain peace and stability. Just as the Leviathan is the undisputed ruler of the seas, so too must the sovereign be the absolute ruler of the state. This comparison underscores the immense power and control that Hobbes believed a ruler must possess. Hobbes argued that without such a strong sovereign, human society would inevitably descend into chaos and violence. He saw the sovereign as a necessary force to impose order and prevent the destructive tendencies of human nature from taking over. Hobbes believed that without a strong sovereign, human society would descend into chaos and violence. The horrors of the English Civil War had shown him the dangers of a power vacuum where competing factions could tear society apart. He argued that individuals must surrender some of their individual liberties to the sovereign in exchange for protection and order. This idea formed the basis of what Hobbes called the social contract. This social contract, as he called it, was essential for a functioning society. By giving up certain freedoms, individuals would gain the security and stability provided by a strong, centralized authority. Hobbes's use of the Leviathan as a metaphor for the state is both apt and chilling. It vividly illustrates the balance between the need for order and the potential for tyranny. It highlights the awesome power of the state, a power that is necessary for order, but also potentially tyrannical. The Leviathan, in all its might, serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between authority and liberty, a power that is necessary for order, but also potentially tyrannical. Hobbes's vision of the Leviathan state continues to provoke thought and debate about the nature of power and governance in human society.